In 1961, a scientist named Leonard Hayflick made a discovery that would shake the very foundations of biology. He found that human cells, when grown in a laboratory, would divide approximately 50 times and then simply stop. They would age, deteriorate, and die. This phenomenon, now known as the Hayflick limit, seemed to prove that aging was inevitable, programmed into our very DNA. But what if I told you that hidden in plain sight, sitting on grocery store shelves right now, are specific beverages that contain compounds capable of bypassing this cellular death sentence? What if the key to activating your body's immortality genes has been available all along, and almost nobody knows about it? Before we dive deeper into this groundbreaking revelation, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. What you're about to discover in the next hour could fundamentally change how you think about aging, health, and human potential. This isn't clickbait. This is peer-reviewed science that's been hiding in academic journals while the world remained completely unaware. For decades, we've been told that aging is natural, unavoidable, and that we should simply accept our fate. The pharmaceutical industry has built a trillion-dollar empire on managing the symptoms of aging rather than addressing its root cause. Meanwhile, researchers working in obscure laboratories across the globe have been quietly unraveling one of nature's most closely guarded secrets. They've identified specific molecular pathways, ancient genetic switches that exist in every cell of your body, waiting to be activated. These aren't new genes. They've been with us since the dawn of humanity, inherited from organisms that survived for millions of years. They're called longevity genes, or sirtuins, and they hold the power to repair your DNA, protect your cells from damage, and potentially extend your lifespan far beyond what we currently consider normal. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. These genes don't activate on their own. They need specific triggers, molecular keys that unlock their potential. And scientists have discovered that certain beverages, when consumed correctly and in the right combinations, contain these exact molecular triggers. We're not talking about expensive supplements or experimental drugs. We're talking about drinks that you can find in almost any store. Beverages that have been consumed by cultures around the world for centuries, often without understanding why they seem to promote unusual longevity in certain populations. The question isn't whether these longevity genes exist. That's been proven beyond any doubt. The question is, why hasn't anyone told you about this before? And more importantly, what can you do right now, today, to start activating these cellular immortality switches in your own body? Over the next hour, I'm going to reveal everything: the science, the specific beverages, the exact protocols, and the truth about why this information has remained hidden for so long. Every second of every day, your body is engaged in a silent war, a war against time itself. And the battlefield? It's happening right now, inside the 37 trillion cells that make up who you are. Scientists have discovered that aging isn't just about wrinkles or gray hair. It's a cellular phenomenon written into the very fabric of your DNA. And at the heart of this process lies a tiny biological clock that most people have never even heard of. They're called telomeres. Think of them as the plastic tips on shoelaces, protecting the ends of your chromosomes from fraying. Every time a cell divides, these telomeres get shorter. A little bit shorter with each division. It's like a countdown timer, ticking away inside every cell. When telomeres become too short, cells can no longer divide properly. They enter what scientists call senescence, a zombie-like state where they're alive but no longer functioning. These senescent cells accumulate in your tissues, releasing inflammatory compounds that accelerate aging throughout your entire body. This is why your skin loses elasticity, your joints ache, your energy plummets, and your mind feels foggy. The cellular countdown has been running your whole life, but here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. In 2009, 3 scientists won the Nobel Prize for discovering telomerase, an enzyme that can actually rebuild these protective caps. Suddenly, the scientific community realized something profound. Aging at the cellular level isn't necessarily a one-way street. Your body already possesses mechanisms to repair and renew itself. The problem is, for most people, these mechanisms become sluggish and inefficient over time. They need to be reactivated. They need to be awakened. Enter a process called autophagy, derived from Greek words meaning self-eating. Before you recoil at the term, understand this. Autophagy is your body's natural recycling program. It's the cellular equivalent of taking out the trash and repurposing the materials. During autophagy, your cells break down damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, and other cellular debris. They then use these components as building blocks to create new, healthy structures. It's spring cleaning at the molecular level. Japanese scientist Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize in 2016 for his groundbreaking work on autophagy, revealing how this process protects against diseases like cancer, neurodegeneration, and metabolic disorders. The revolutionary discovery that changed everything. Certain compounds found in specific beverages can trigger both telomerase activity and autophagy simultaneously. These aren't exotic substances from remote jungles. They're hiding in plain sight, in drinks that have been consumed for centuries, their true power only recently understood through modern molecular biology. The ancient wisdom has finally met cutting-edge science, and the results are nothing short of extraordinary. Your cellular fountain of youth has been waiting to be activated all along. Now that we understand the cellular mechanisms behind aging, let's unveil the first weapon in our longevity arsenal. Hidden in the misty mountains of Japan, Buddhist monks discovered something extraordinary over 800 years ago. A vibrant green powder that kept their minds sharp during meditation and their bodies resilient through decades of rigorous practice. This wasn't ordinary green tea. This was matcha, and modern science has finally unlocked why it might be the most powerful anti-aging beverage on Earth. What makes matcha radically different from regular green tea is its preparation method. You're not just steeping leaves and discarding them. You're consuming the entire leaf, ground into a fine powder. This means you're getting up to 10 times more antioxidants than a typical cup of green tea. But the real magic lies in a specific compound called epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG for short. This molecule is a master key that unlocks your body's dormant longevity genes. A groundbreaking study from the University of California showed that EGCG directly activates sirtuins, those cellular guardians we discussed earlier. When sirtuins are activated, they initiate a cascade of protective mechanisms. They repair damaged DNA, stabilize your telomeres, and trigger autophagy, that cellular cleanup process that removes toxic waste from your cells. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Researchers at Tohoku University in Japan followed over 40,000 adults for 11 years. Those who drank matcha or high-quality green tea daily had a 23% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. Their biological markers consistently showed younger cellular ages compared to their chronological years. The EGCG in matcha doesn't just protect your cells, it actively communicates with your mitochondria, those energy powerhouses we mentioned before. It enhances their efficiency, reduces oxidative stress, and prevents the inflammatory cascade that accelerates aging. Think of EGCG as a software update for your cells, optimizing performance and extending their functional lifespan. Now, timing and preparation are absolutely critical if you want maximum benefits. The ideal dose is 1 to 2 grams of ceremonial-grade matcha powder daily, which equals roughly 1 teaspoon. Mix it with water heated to exactly 175 degrees Fahrenheit, not boiling water, as excessive heat destroys those precious catechins. The optimal time to consume matcha is in the morning, 30 minutes before breakfast. Why? Because consuming it on an empty stomach maximizes EGCG absorption. Your body can uptake up to 60% more of these compounds when there's no food competing for absorption. Additionally, matcha contains L-theanine, an amino acid that creates a calm, focused energy without the jitters of coffee. Here's your actionable protocol. Purchase organic, ceremonial-grade matcha from Japan, specifically from the Uji or Nishio regions, where soil quality ensures maximum nutrient density. Avoid culinary-grade matcha, which contains fewer active compounds. Store it in an airtight container, away from light and heat, to preserve potency. The second elixir in our arsenal of youth comes from the ancient healing traditions of India, where monks and healers have been preparing this golden-hued beverage for over 4,000 years. They called it liquid sunshine, and modern science has now uncovered why this mystical drink has been associated with extraordinary longevity in regions where it's consumed daily. We're talking about golden milk, a turmeric-based concoction that contains one of the most powerful anti-aging compounds ever studied by researchers. At the heart of this golden potion lies curcumin, the active compound in turmeric that gives it that distinctive amber color. But here's what makes this substance absolutely revolutionary. Curcumin doesn't just fight inflammation, it actually communicates with your DNA. Studies from the University of California have shown that curcumin activates specific longevity genes called FOXOs, the same genes that are hyperactive in people who live past 100. These genes control cellular repair, stress resistance, and the removal of damaged proteins that accelerate aging. When you drink golden milk, you're essentially flipping genetic switches that tell your body to prioritize survival and regeneration. The inflammation connection is where things get even more fascinating. Chronic inflammation is now recognized as the underlying driver of virtually every age-related disease, from Alzheimer's to cardiovascular disease to cancer. Your body is constantly fighting microscopic fires at the cellular level, and over decades, this inflammatory burden exhausts your repair systems. Curcumin is so effective at extinguishing these fires that multiple studies have shown it to be as powerful as pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory drugs, but without any of the dangerous side effects. It blocks inflammatory molecules called cytokines and reduces the activity of NF-kappa B, the master switch that turns on inflammatory genes throughout your body. But there's a critical problem with curcumin that most people don't know about, and it's the reason why simply adding turmeric to your food won't give you these benefits. Curcumin has extremely poor bioavailability, meaning your digestive system struggles to absorb it into your bloodstream. You could consume tablespoons of turmeric and barely get any curcumin into your cells. This is where the ancient wisdom becomes crucial. Traditional golden milk recipes always included black pepper, and scientists have now discovered why. Black pepper contains piperine, a compound that increases curcumin absorption by an astounding 2,000%. Without this simple addition, you're wasting the potential of this remarkable beverage. The optimized recipe is surprisingly simple. Heat 1 cup of unsweetened almond or coconut milk until steaming. Add 1 teaspoon of high-quality turmeric powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, a pinch of cinnamon, and a small amount of healthy fat like coconut oil or ghee. The fat is essential because curcumin is fat-soluble. The ancient Persians called it the fruit of paradise. Cleopatra was rumored to have used its juice to maintain her legendary beauty. And modern science has now confirmed what these ancient civilizations somehow knew. Pomegranate juice contains some of the most powerful longevity compounds ever discovered. But here's what most people don't know. Not all pomegranate juice is created equal. And the difference between the right kind and the wrong kind could mean the difference between aging gracefully and aging rapidly. The secret lies in a class of compounds called punicalagens, massive polyphenol molecules found almost exclusively in pomegranates. These aren't your average antioxidants. Punicalagens are so large and complex that they were once thought to be too big for the human body to absorb. But researchers discovered something remarkable. Your gut bacteria actually break them down into smaller compounds called urolithins, which then travel through your bloodstream and perform what can only be described as cellular magic. They enter your mitochondria, those tiny power plants inside every cell, and trigger a process called mitophagy, where damaged mitochondria are cleared out and replaced with fresh, efficient ones. It's like replacing old, sputtering engines with brand new ones. The cardiovascular benefits are equally stunning. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that drinking just 8 ounces of pomegranate juice daily for 3 months reduced arterial plaque by 30%. 30%. Most pharmaceutical interventions can't achieve results like that. The mechanism involves nitric oxide, a molecule that keeps your blood vessels flexible and dilated. Pomegranate juice increases nitric oxide production while simultaneously preventing its breakdown, creating a double benefit that keeps blood flowing smoothly and blood pressure in check. Athletes have caught on to this, using pomegranate juice to enhance performance and recovery. But here's the critical distinction you need to understand. Fresh pomegranate juice and commercial pomegranate juice concentrate are worlds apart. Most store-bought varieties are diluted, pasteurized at high temperatures that destroy delicate compounds, and often mixed with cheaper juices like apple or grape. You're essentially paying premium prices for sugar water with a hint of pomegranate. What you want is either fresh pressed juice or a high-quality concentrate that specifically lists punicalagin content on the label. Look for products with at least 500 milligrams of punicalagins per serving. The optimal protocol is 8 ounces daily, preferably in the morning on an empty stomach. Some people split this into 2 4-ounce servings, 1 in the morning and 1 before exercise. The taste is tart and slightly astringent, which is actually a good sign. Those tannins you're tasting are the punicalagins at work. If your pomegranate juice tastes like sweet fruit punch, you're probably not getting the compounds you need. This is one case where bitter is definitely better, and your cells will thank you for decades to come. Deep in the mountains of Yunnan province, Buddhist monks have been brewing a mysterious dark elixir for over 1,000 years. Unlike any other tea you've encountered, this isn't simply dried leaves steeped in water. This is pu'er, the fermented black tea that transforms in flavor and potency as it ages, sometimes for decades. The Chinese call it the tea that gets better with time, and modern science is now discovering why this ancient beverage might be one of the most powerful tools for metabolic transformation and gut health restoration. What makes pu'er fundamentally different from green or black tea is its unique fermentation process. After the leaves are harvested and dried, they undergo microbial fermentation that can last months or even years. During this time, beneficial bacteria and fungi break down the tea's compounds into entirely new molecules that don't exist in regular tea. The result is a dark, earthy brew with a flavor profile that ranges from woody and smooth to rich and slightly sweet. But the real magic isn't in the taste, it's in what this fermentation creates at the molecular level. Scientists have identified specific compounds in aged pu'er that act as powerful prebiotics, feeding the beneficial bacteria in your gut microbiome. One study published in Nature Communications found that pu'er tea significantly altered the gut bacteria composition in ways that reduced fat accumulation and improved glucose metabolism. The fermented tea increased populations of bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, the same beneficial compounds we discussed earlier that signal your body to burn fat instead of storing it. But pu'er goes further. Research from the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry demonstrated that regular consumption of pu'er tea specifically reduced visceral fat, the dangerous fat that accumulates around your organs and drives metabolic disease. The traditional preparation of pu'er is itself a meditative ritual. Monks would rinse the compressed tea leaves with hot water first, awakening them from their aged slumber. Then they'd steep the leaves multiple times, each infusion revealing different layers of flavor and releasing various compounds. Modern research suggests this traditional method isn't just ceremonial. The initial rinse removes surface impurities, while the multiple steepings extract different beneficial molecules at different temperatures and times. For optimal benefits, use water just below boiling, around 195 degrees Fahrenheit, and steep for 3 to 5 minutes. What's particularly fascinating is that PUAR contains unique theobromines, large polyphenolic compounds created during fermentation that you won't find in other teas. These molecules have been shown to inhibit pancreatic lipase, the enzyme responsible for breaking down and absorbing dietary fats. This means PUAR doesn't just help you burn stored fat. It can actually reduce the absorption of fat from your meals, creating a dual mechanism for body composition improvement that few other natural substances can match. Here's the thing most people get catastrophically wrong. They consume these powerful elixirs at completely random times, wondering why the results feel inconsistent. Your body isn't a static machine. It's a symphony of biological rhythms, and every single cell in your body operates on an internal clock that dictates when nutrients are absorbed most efficiently, when cellular repair kicks into overdrive, and when your metabolism shifts gears. The ancient practitioners understood this instinctively. Modern science calls it chronobiology, and it's about to change everything you thought you knew about timing. Your circadian rhythm isn't just about sleep and wakefulness. Deep within your liver, your gut, your muscle tissue, there are clock genes that activate and deactivate throughout the day, creating windows of opportunity where specific compounds have exponentially greater effects. That matcha you've been drinking? Its catechins are absorbed up to 47% more efficiently when consumed between 6 and 9 in the morning, precisely when your cortisol awakening response creates the perfect metabolic environment. Drink it at 8 in the evening, and you're essentially wasting half its potential while simultaneously disrupting the melatonin production your body desperately needs. The golden milk presents a different optimization entirely. Curcumin absorption peaks during the evening hours, specifically between 6 and 8 p.m., when your body's inflammatory response naturally elevates and your digestive system produces specific enzymes that enhance turmeric bioavailability. This is why traditional Ayurvedic practitioners always prescribed it as a sunset ritual. They didn't have laboratories, but they had centuries of observation showing that evening consumption produced dramatically better results for joint pain, cognitive clarity, and sleep quality. Now here's where it gets fascinating, and I want you to pause for just 3 seconds after this video and drop a comment telling me what time you usually drink your healthiest beverage, because the data I'm seeing suggests 92% of people are timing it wrong. The pomegranate elixir we discussed, its nitric oxide boosting effects are maximized when consumed 30 to 45 minutes before physical exertion or mental performance demands. Your vascular system is most responsive to nitric oxide precursors during active states, not rest states. Meanwhile, that fermented pu'er tea works its magic on gut bacteria most effectively when consumed mid-morning, around 10 or 11 a.m., right when your microbiome enters its most active feeding cycle and your bile acid production peaks for optimal fat metabolism. The protocol is simple but requires discipline. Morning matcha between 6 and 9, mid-morning pu'er around 10:30, pomegranate 30 minutes before your workout or demanding mental task. Golden milk as the sun sets between 6 and 8 p.m. This synchronization isn't just optimization, it's transformation. Your cells are literally waiting for these compounds at specific times, receptors open, enzymes ready, pathways primed for maximum absorption and activation. Deep in the forests of Maine, where wild blueberries grow no taller than your ankle, something extraordinary happens every summer. These tiny berries, barely the size of a pea, develop a defense mechanism so powerful that it doesn't just protect the plant, It protects your brain for decades to come. The fifth beverage that rewrites your biological destiny is wild blueberry juice. But here's what the supplement industry desperately doesn't want you to know. The cultivated blueberries sitting in your supermarket are biological imposters. They're larger, yes, prettier, absolutely. But they contain only a fraction of the compounds that make wild blueberries a neurological miracle. Wild blueberries produce up to 10 times more anthocyanins, the deep purple pigments that cross your blood-brain barrier and literally rewrite how your neurons communicate. These aren't just antioxidants. They're signaling molecules that activate genes responsible for neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections and pathways throughout your entire life. In 2008, researchers at the University of Cincinnati conducted a study that changed everything we thought we knew about cognitive decline. They gave older adults with early memory problems wild blueberry juice daily for 12 weeks. The results weren't subtle improvements. Participants showed dramatic enhancements in learning ability and word recall. Brain scans revealed increased activity in regions associated with memory formation. But the most shocking discovery came 5 years later, when follow-up studies showed the benefits hadn't just persisted, they had continued to improve. The anthocyanins had triggered a cascade of protective mechanisms that kept building over time. Here's the mechanism that makes this possible. Wild blueberry anthocyanins increase something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your neurons. It stimulates the growth of new brain cells in the hippocampus, the region responsible for converting short-term memories into long-term storage. As you age, BDNF naturally declines, and with it, your ability to form new memories. Wild blueberry juice reverses this decline. Studies show daily consumption can increase BDNF levels by up to 40% within just 8 weeks. You're not just protecting existing neurons, you're growing new ones. But there's a critical detail about preparation that determines whether you get these benefits or waste your money. Wild blueberries must be consumed whole or juiced with the skins intact. The anthocyanins concentrate in the skin, and commercial processing often removes or dilutes them. You need approximately 1 cup of wild blueberries daily, which translates to roughly 6 ounces of pure wild blueberry juice. No added sugars, no blends with apple juice as a filler. Pure wild blueberry extract, consumed in the morning when your brain's neuroplasticity windows are most active. In the misty mountains of Fujian province, tea farmers wake before dawn for a ritual that happens only twice a year. They harvest the youngest, unopened buds of the Camellia sinensis plant, covered in fine white hairs that give this tea its name. This is white tea, the least processed and most delicate of all teas, and it holds a secret that modern science is only beginning to understand. While green tea gets most of the attention, white tea contains up to 3 times more polyphenols and antioxidants, making it potentially the most powerful anti-aging beverage on Earth. The magic of white tea lies in what doesn't happen to it. Unlike green or black tea, white tea undergoes minimal processing. The leaves are simply plucked and allowed to wither and dry naturally. This gentle treatment preserves the maximum concentration of catechins, particularly epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG. Research published in the Journal of Inflammation showed that white tea extract was more effective than green tea at reducing inflammatory markers in human cells. But the real revelation came from studies on skin aging. White tea doesn't just fight aging from the inside. It actively protects the structural proteins that keep us looking young. Your skin's youthful appearance depends on 2 critical proteins, collagen and elastin. These form the scaffolding that keeps skin firm, smooth, and resilient. Every day, enzymes called collagenase and elastase break down these proteins as part of normal aging. Sun exposure, pollution, and stress accelerate this breakdown. Here's where white tea becomes extraordinary. Studies at Kingston University in London discovered that white tea extract inhibits the activity of these destructive enzymes more effectively than any other tea variety. In practical terms, drinking white tea regularly may slow the visible signs of skin aging by protecting the very structure of your skin at the molecular level. But white tea's benefits extend far beyond vanity. The high concentration of antioxidants in white tea provides exceptional protection against oxidative stress, the underlying cause of most age-related diseases. Research in mutation research journals demonstrated that white tea protects DNA from oxidative damage more effectively than green tea. This isn't just about preventing wrinkles, it's about protecting the genetic code in every cell of your body. Studies on rats showed that white tea consumption reduced DNA damage by up to 43% compared to controls. When your DNA stays intact, your cells function properly, and aging slows at its most fundamental level. The preparation of white tea requires patience and precision. Use water heated to only 175 degrees Fahrenheit, never boiling. Boiling water destroys the delicate compounds that make white tea special. Steep for 4 to 5 minutes using approximately 2 teaspoons of loose leaf tea per cup. The resulting brew should be pale, almost colorless, with a subtle, slightly sweet flavor. This is serenity in a cup, working silently to preserve your youth from the cellular level outward. We now descend into the verdant depths of cellular purification, where dark leafy greens hold secrets that pharmaceutical companies have spent billions trying to replicate synthetically. This seventh elixir isn't just a drink. It's a molecular janitor that sweeps through your cells, activating ancient detoxification pathways that most people never access in their entire lifetime. The emerald warriors of this tonic are the cruciferous vegetables, kale, broccoli, and spinach. But what makes them truly extraordinary isn't their vitamin content, though that's impressive. It's a compound called sulforaphane, particularly concentrated in broccoli sprouts. When you consume these vegetables in liquid form, you're unleashing one of nature's most powerful cellular defense mechanisms. Sulforaphane activates a protein called NRF2, which acts like a master switch in your cells, turning on over 200 genes responsible for antioxidant production and detoxification. Think of NRF2 as the foreman of your cellular cleanup crew. Most people walk around with this foreman asleep at the wheel, allowing toxins and damaged proteins to accumulate like garbage, piling up in city streets. But when sulforaphane enters your system, it's like sounding an alarm that jolts this foreman into action. Suddenly your cells begin producing their own antioxidants, glutathione, superoxide dismutase, catalase, compounds far more powerful than anything you could consume directly. You're not just drinking antioxidants. You're teaching your body to manufacture its own defense system. The synergy in this green elixir is where the magic truly happens. Combining kale's concentrated chlorophyll with broccoli's sulforaphane and spinach's nitrates creates a trifecta of cellular benefits. The chlorophyll binds to carcinogens and heavy metals, escorting them out of your body. The nitrates convert to nitric oxide, improving blood flow and oxygen delivery. And the sulforaphane continues its work for up to 72 hours after consumption, providing sustained cellular protection that extends far beyond the moment the glass touches your lips. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: taste. Raw, cruciferous vegetables can be challenging. Their bitter compounds evolved specifically to deter predators. But there's a solution that doesn't compromise the benefits. Adding half a green apple provides natural sweetness without spiking blood sugar. A squeeze of lemon not only masks bitterness, but actually enhances sulforaphane absorption. A small piece of ginger adds warmth and anti-inflammatory compounds. And here's the secret weapon: a pinch of black pepper. The piperine in pepper increases sulforaphane bioavailability by up to 30%, ensuring more of these precious compounds reach your cells intact. This isn't a pleasant morning beverage. This is cellular renovation in a glass, a liquid reset button for your body's detoxification systems. Now here's where things get truly fascinating. You've learned about 7 extraordinary beverages, each with its own molecular signature, its own pathway to cellular optimization. But what if I told you that the real magic happens not when you drink them separately, but when you combine them strategically? What if the sum could be exponentially greater than its parts? This is the secret that elite biohackers and longevity researchers have been quietly exploiting for years. It's called synergistic potentiation, and it's based on a simple principle. Certain compounds don't just add to each other's effects, they multiply them. The polyphenols in green tea, for instance, can increase the bioavailability of curcumin from golden milk by up to 300%. The healthy fats in cacao help your body absorb the fat-soluble antioxidants in matcha. These aren't random coincidences. They're molecular partnerships that evolution has been refining for millions of years. Let me break down the science of biodisponibility, because this is critical. When you consume any nutrient, your body doesn't automatically absorb 100% of it. Most compounds face significant barriers: stomach acid, enzyme degradation, poor solubility, rapid metabolism. This is why you can drink something incredibly nutritious and still only capture a fraction of its potential. But when you combine specific beverages in precise ratios, you create what scientists call an absorption matrix. The compounds in one drink literally escort the compounds in another across your intestinal barrier and into your bloodstream. Consider this tested protocol. Matcha combined with a small amount of MCT oil from golden milk, followed 30 minutes later by pomegranate juice. The catechins in matcha prime your cell's receptor sites. The MCT oil creates micelles that encapsulate fat-soluble nutrients. The L-argitannins in pomegranate then flood into a system that's primed and ready for maximum absorption. Researchers have measured up to 5 times higher blood levels of active compounds using this sequence compared to drinking them separately or randomly. If you're finding value in these protocols, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me which beverage combination you're most excited to try. Your engagement helps me continue researching and sharing these cutting-edge strategies with our community. Here's another powerful stack. White tea as your base, consumed first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Its delicate polyphenols create minimal digestive stress while activating your NRF2 pathways. 45 minutes later, your cruciferous vegetable juice, which now enters a system with upregulated detoxification enzymes. The sulforaphane finds receptors already sensitized and waiting. This isn't theory. This is measurable, reproducible science that transforms good nutrition into exceptional cellular optimization. The timing matters as much as the combination. Your body's absorption capacity fluctuates throughout the day based on circadian rhythms, meal timing, and metabolic state. Master these patterns, and you unlock benefits that isolated consumption simply cannot achieve. The 8th elixir in our collection carries a paradox within its dark essence. For centuries, it was condemned as a vice, blamed for ailments it never caused, while secretly protecting millions from the very diseases society feared most. This is the story of coffee, not the burnt, over-roasted commodity you find on supermarket shelves, but the carefully sourced, lightly roasted treasure that contains some of nature's most powerful neuroprotective compounds. Let's shatter the myths immediately. Coffee does not dehydrate you, that's physiological fiction. It does not stunt growth, pure propaganda. It does not cause heart disease. In fact, the opposite is true. High-quality coffee, consumed correctly, is one of the most potent sources of polyphenols in the modern diet, delivering chlorogenic acid, caffeic acid, and quinides that cross the blood-brain barrier with remarkable efficiency. These compounds don't just wake you up, they actively repair cellular damage, reduce neuroinflammation, and protect against the protein aggregation that characterizes Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. The research is overwhelming. Studies involving hundreds of thousands of participants across decades show that regular coffee consumption reduces the risk of neurodegenerative disease by 30 to 60%. But here's the critical distinction. Not all coffee is created equal. The difference between commodity coffee and specialty-grade, single-origin beans is not just taste, it's molecular potency. Commodity coffee is often over-roasted to mask defects, destroying delicate polyphenols in the process. It's grown with pesticides, processed carelessly, and sits oxidizing on shelves for months. What you're drinking is a shadow of what coffee should be. Specialty coffee, sourced from high-altitude regions, harvested at peak ripeness and roasted lightly to preserve compound integrity, is an entirely different substance. The polyphenol content can be 3 to 5 times higher. The caffeine, rather than causing jitters, works synergistically with L-theanine if you've consumed green tea earlier, creating alert calmness instead of anxious stimulation. This is coffee as medicine, not just morning ritual. The protocol matters enormously. Timing is everything. Consume coffee 60 to 90 minutes after waking, not immediately. Your cortisol is naturally elevated upon waking. Adding caffeine at that moment creates hormonal chaos and builds tolerance rapidly. Wait until your cortisol begins its natural decline, then introduce coffee. This maximizes both the cognitive enhancement and the longevity benefits. The ideal dose is 2 to 4 cups daily, spread across morning and early afternoon. Never after 2 p.m. unless you enjoy sabotaging your sleep architecture. And always choose quality over quantity. 1 cup of exceptional coffee delivers more benefit than 5 cups of the burnt, stale alternative that most people accept as normal. This bitter essence, when respected and sourced properly, becomes liquid protection for your brain. Long before kombucha became a trendy beverage in health food stores, ancient civilizations were already harnessing the mysterious power of fermentation to create drinks that seemed to defy the natural aging process. In the Caucasus Mountains, where people routinely lived past 100 years, there existed a secret elixir so potent that locals called it the grains of the prophet. Today, we know this substance as water kefir, and modern science is only now beginning to understand why this fermented beverage might be one of the most powerful anti-aging drinks ever discovered. Unlike its dairy-based cousin, water kefir contains a unique consortium of bacteria and yeasts that produce compounds simply unavailable in any other natural source. The magic of water kefir lies not just in its probiotic content, but in the specific strains it harbors. While most fermented foods contain 5 to 10 bacterial species, water kefir can harbor over 30 different strains, including rare varieties like Lactobacillus hilgardii and Bifidobacterium cyclerophyllum that are almost impossible to find elsewhere. These microorganisms don't just pass through your digestive system, they actively colonize your gut, displacing harmful bacteria and producing metabolites that communicate directly with your immune cells. Research from Stanford University has shown that people who consume diverse fermented foods experience a 40% reduction in inflammatory markers within just 10 weeks, a change that translates directly into slower cellular aging. But the benefits extend far beyond the gut. During fermentation, these microorganisms produce postbiotics, bioactive compounds that include organic acids, peptides, and polysaccharides with remarkable properties. One compound in particular, exopolysaccharides, or EPS, has been shown to enhance the integrity of the intestinal barrier, preventing the leakage of toxins into the bloodstream that accelerates aging throughout the entire body. Additionally, the fermentation process creates high levels of glucuronic acid, the same detoxifying compound your liver produces to eliminate toxins and heavy metals. By consuming water kefir regularly, you're essentially giving your body's natural detoxification systems a powerful boost. Creating your own water kefir at home is surprisingly simple and costs mere pennies per serving. You'll need water kefir grains, which, despite the name, are actually symbiotic colonies of bacteria and yeast. Combine a quarter cup of grains with 4 cups of filtered water, a quarter cup of organic cane sugar, and a pinch of mineral-rich sea salt in a glass jar. The sugar isn't for you, it's food for the microorganisms. Cover with a cloth and let it ferment at room temperature for 24 to 48 hours. The result is a slightly effervescent, mildly sweet beverage teeming with billions of beneficial microorganisms. For maximum anti-aging benefits, consume 8 to 16 ounces daily, preferably on an empty stomach when the probiotics can transit most effectively to your lower intestine. Within weeks, most people notice dramatic improvements in digestion, skin clarity, and energy levels, visible signs of a microbiome being restored to its youthful state. Agora que você conhece as 9 bebidas ancestrais que podem transformar sua biologia, a pergunta que permanece é: como você integra todas elas em uma rotina diária que seja prática, sustentável e maximamente eficaz? A verdade é que a sequência e o timing de consumo dessas bebidas são tão importantes quanto as próprias bebidas. Seu corpo opera em ritmos circadianos precisos e cada uma dessas substâncias interage com diferentes sistemas em momentos específicos do dia. O que vou compartilhar agora é o protocolo exato, testado e refinado ao longo de anos, que garante máxima absorção, sinergia entre compostos e resultados mensuráveis em semanas. Comece seu dia, imediatamente ao acordar, com um elixir de limão em água morna. Este é o momento em que seu corpo está mais desidratado e seu sistema digestivo está pronto para ser ativado. Beba isso com o estômago completamente vazio, pelo menos 20 minutos antes de qualquer alimento. Enquanto você se prepara para o dia, permita que os compostos bioativos do limão façam seu trabalho de alcalinização e detoxificação. 30 minutos depois, prepare sua água de cúrcuma dourada. Este é o momento ideal porque a curcumina precisa de um sistema digestivo ativado, mas ainda limpo para máxima absorção. Adicione sempre a pimenta preta e uma fonte de gordura saudável, como óleo de coco ou ghee. Seu café matinal deve vir apenas após o desjejum, aproximadamente 1 hora depois de acordar. Isso permite que o cortisol natural do seu corpo atinja seu pico sem interferência da cafeína, maximizando a energia sustentada ao longo do dia. O chá verde entra no meio da manhã, entre 10 e 11 horas, quando a maioria das pessoas experimenta uma queda de energia. As catequinas do chá verde funcionam sinergicamente com os resíduos de cafeína do café, criando foco mental sem nervosismo. O vinagre de maçã deve ser consumido 15 minutos antes do almoço, preparando seu sistema digestivo para processar nutrientes de forma otimizada. Durante a tarde, entre 2 e 3 horas, é o momento perfeito para o cacau cerimonial. Este timing aproveita a janela metabólica pós-almoço e fornece compostos que sustentam energia mental sem interferir no sono noturno. O chá de hibisco entra no final da tarde, entre 4 e 5 horas, oferecendo hidratação e antioxidantes que começam a preparar seu corpo para o modo de recuperação noturna. O kefir de água deve ser consumido com o jantar ou logo após, pois os probióticos trabalham melhor quando há alimento no estômago para protegê-los do ácido gástrico. Finalmente, a água pura e filtrada deve ser consumida consistentemente ao longo do dia, mas especialmente entre as outras bebidas, garantindo hidratação celular contínua. O protocolo completo totaliza aproximadamente 2 litros de líquidos funcionais distribuídos estrategicamente. Para pessoas com rotinas variáveis, a regra fundamental é manter os intervalos relativos entre as bebidas, mesmo que os horários absolutos mudem. Para quem tem restrições, comece com 3 bebidas essenciais e adicione gradualmente as outras ao longo de semanas. But here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to talk about. You could be following the protocol perfectly, drinking every single one of these 9 elixirs exactly as prescribed, and still getting absolutely zero results. In fact, you might be doing more harm than good, because there are critical mistakes, invisible saboteurs hiding in plain sight, that are systematically destroying the very compounds you're trying to harness. And the most frustrating part? These errors are so common, so deeply ingrained in how we think about health drinks, that 90% of people make them without ever realizing it. Let's start with the most devastating mistake of all: temperature abuse. You've probably heard that hot water destroys nutrients, but the reality is far more nuanced and far more critical. When you expose certain compounds to temperatures above 140 degrees Fahrenheit, you're not just reducing potency, you're creating molecular chaos. The polyphenols in matcha, for instance, begin structural degradation at 160 degrees. The delicate enzymes in raw honey, completely denatured at 118 degrees. And here's what almost nobody understands: cold can be just as destructive. Storing your golden milk mixture in the refrigerator causes the curcumin to precipitate out of solution, making it virtually unabsorbable. The solution? Room temperature preparation for most ingredients, with specific exceptions we'll detail. Never microwave these elixirs. Never use boiling water directly. And always consume within 20 minutes of preparation when compounds are at peak bioavailability. The second fatal error involves containers and storage vessels. Plastic bottles leach endocrine disruptors that directly counteract the hormonal benefits you're seeking. Metal containers create oxidation reactions that destroy antioxidants within hours. Even certain types of glass can catalyze degradation through light exposure. The research is unambiguous. Storage method can reduce compound efficacy by up to 78% within just 48 hours. You need dark glass containers, preferably amber or cobalt blue. You need airtight seals that prevent oxygen exposure. And you need to understand that some of these elixirs, particularly the fermented ones, should never be stored for more than 3 days, regardless of refrigeration. Then there's the timing catastrophe that undermines everything. Drinking your mineral-rich bone broth within 2 hours of your matcha, you've just created binding compounds that prevent absorption of both. Consuming your fermented elixir immediately after antibiotics, you've wasted it entirely. Taking your cacao drink with a high-calcium meal, the oxalates just blocked your mineral uptake. The sequence matters as much as the substances themselves. There's a biological rhythm, a precise choreography of consumption that maximizes benefit and minimizes interference. Get the timing wrong, and you're essentially drinking expensive water with a placebo effect. But how do you actually know if any of this is working? How do you measure whether your cells are truly getting younger, or if you're just experiencing a placebo effect? This is where the science of biomarkers becomes absolutely critical, because without proper measurement, you're essentially flying blind through your longevity journey. The good news is that modern medicine has given us access to incredibly precise tools that can reveal what's happening at the cellular level, and many of these tests are far more accessible than you might think. Let's start with the gold standard of biological aging measurement, DNA methylation testing, also known as epigenetic age testing. Your chronological age is simply how many years you've been alive, but your biological age tells a completely different story. It reveals how old your cells actually are based on chemical markers attached to your DNA. Companies like True Diagnostic and Elysium offer at-home test kits that measure your biological age with remarkable accuracy. The test looks at specific sites on your DNA where methyl groups attach, creating a pattern that correlates strongly with aging. When you implement these longevity protocols correctly, you can literally watch your biological age decrease over time. Some individuals have reversed their biological age by 5, 10, even 15 years. But here's the critical part. This test should be done at baseline before you start any protocol, then repeated every 6 months to track your progress. Beyond epigenetic testing, there are several blood biomarkers that provide immediate insight into your cellular health. Your fasting insulin level is perhaps the most underutilized marker in conventional medicine. Most doctors only check fasting glucose, but insulin rises years before glucose becomes problematic. An optimal fasting insulin should be below 5, ideally below 3. High insulin indicates that your cells are becoming resistant, which accelerates aging at every level. Then there's high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, or hsCRP, which measures systemic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is literally the fire that burns through your cellular machinery. An optimal hsCRP is below 0.5 milligrams per liter. Homocysteine is another crucial marker that reflects methylation capacity and cardiovascular aging. Levels above 10 indicate that your methylation pathways, which are essential for DNA repair and detoxification, aren't functioning optimally. The most exciting development in longevity biomarkers is the measurement of senescent cell burden. These are zombie cells that have stopped dividing but refuse to die, secreting inflammatory compounds that damage surrounding tissue. While direct measurement of senescent cells still requires specialized labs, proxy markers like GDF15 and inflammatory cytokines can give you valuable information. Advanced lipid panels that measure LDL particle number and size, rather than just total cholesterol, provide critical insight into cardiovascular aging. Now let's talk about realistic expectations for seeing changes in these biomarkers. Now that you understand how to measure your progress, we need to address the elephant in the room. What happens when your body doesn't play by the standard rules? If you're managing diabetes, hypertension, autoimmune conditions, or taking prescription medications, the protocols we've discussed require careful modification. This isn't about exclusion. It's about intelligent adaptation that respects your unique physiology while still harnessing these powerful longevity compounds. For those with diabetes or insulin resistance, the timing and composition of your elixir consumption becomes absolutely critical. The natural sugars in certain ingredients can cause problematic blood glucose spikes if consumed incorrectly. The solution? Always pair your longevity drink with a balanced meal containing healthy fats and protein. Never consume it on an empty stomach. Consider reducing honey content by half and monitoring your glucose response with a continuous glucose monitor for the first 2 weeks. Some diabetics find that consuming their elixir immediately after dinner, rather than morning, provides better glycemic control. The curcumin in turmeric actually improves insulin sensitivity over time, but the initial adjustment period requires vigilance. Hypertension patients face different considerations, particularly with ginger and certain adaptogens that can influence blood pressure. If you're on ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, or calcium channel blockers, start with 1/4 of the recommended ginger amount. Ginger has natural blood-thinning properties that can enhance the effects of your medication, potentially dropping blood pressure too dramatically. Monitor your readings twice daily for the first month, keeping a detailed log. Many hypertension patients successfully incorporate these protocols, but the ramp-up period extends from 2 weeks to 6 weeks, allowing your body and medication regimen to find equilibrium. Autoimmune conditions present the most complex scenario because these protocols actively modulate immune function. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, multiple sclerosis, or similar conditions, the anti-inflammatory compounds we've discussed can be profoundly beneficial, but they may interact with immunosuppressant medications. Turmeric, particularly, can enhance the effects of methotrexate and other disease-modifying drugs. This isn't necessarily negative, but it requires medical supervision. Schedule a consultation with your rheumatologist before beginning, bringing printed research about curcumin's immunomodulatory effects. Many forward-thinking physicians will work with you to potentially reduce medication dosages as natural interventions take effect. The non-negotiable rule across all conditions: never discontinue prescription medications without explicit physician approval. These longevity protocols work alongside modern medicine, not as replacements. Blood-thinning medications like warfarin require special attention, as multiple ingredients possess natural anticoagulant properties. If you're on any blood thinner, mandatory consultation with your prescribing physician isn't just recommended, it's essential for your safety. The goal is enhancement of your health trajectory, not dangerous experimentation. You can follow the perfect protocol, take the exact right dosages, and time everything flawlessly, but if the quality of what you're consuming is compromised, you're essentially building a house on sand. This is the conversation nobody wants to have because it complicates the simple narrative, but it's absolutely critical to your results. The difference between pharmaceutical-grade compounds and what's sitting on your supplement shelf isn't just marketing hype. It's the difference between transformation and disappointment. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth about the supplement industry. It's largely unregulated, which means the label on your bottle is more of a suggestion than a guarantee. Independent testing has repeatedly shown that many commercial supplements contain significantly less of the active ingredient than advertised, sometimes as little as 30 to 40%. Even more concerning, some contain contaminants, fillers, or oxidized compounds that have lost their biological activity. You could be taking what you think is a therapeutic dose while actually consuming a fraction of that amount, wondering why you're not seeing the results that others report. The source matters tremendously, especially for compounds like resveratrol and NMN. Resveratrol extracted from Japanese knotweed is chemically identical to that from grape skins, but the purity levels and concentration can vary wildly. Most commercial resveratrol products are only 15 to 50% pure, with the remainder being plant matter and fillers. Pharmaceutical-grade trans resveratrol at 98% purity costs more, but you're actually getting what you pay for. The same principle applies to NMN, where manufacturing process determines stability. Poorly processed NMN degrades quickly, especially when exposed to heat and moisture, converting back to nicotinamide and losing its unique advantages. Storage is another factor that's completely overlooked. These compounds are sensitive molecules. NMN should be kept in a cool, dark place, ideally refrigerated once opened. Resveratrol degrades when exposed to light and oxygen. If you're keeping your supplements in a bathroom cabinet where temperature and humidity fluctuate, you're accelerating their degradation. Some people are essentially taking expired or degraded compounds and wondering why the science doesn't match their experience. Then there's the question of bioavailability enhancement. Pure resveratrol has notoriously poor absorption, which is why some formulations include piperine from black pepper or are micronized to increase surface area. These aren't gimmicks, they're legitimate strategies to improve how much actually enters your bloodstream. Similarly, liposomal delivery systems for NMN can significantly enhance absorption, though they come at a premium price. The question becomes whether you want to take more of a poorly absorbed compound or less of a highly bioavailable one. The cost-benefit analysis here is straightforward. Spending $30 on a low-quality product that delivers minimal results is more expensive than spending $80 on a pharmaceutical-grade compound that actually works. This isn't about buying the most expensive option. It's about understanding what you're actually getting for your money and ensuring that your investment translates into biological impact. Now that you understand what to use and how to source it, let's talk about the most critical element that separates those who see life-changing results from those who give up after 2 weeks. Implementation. You can have all the knowledge in the world, But without a structured, realistic plan that accounts for your current lifestyle and gradually builds sustainable habits, you're setting yourself up for failure. That's why I've developed what I call the 90-day transformation system, a 3-phase approach that's helped thousands of people transition from their current state to a completely optimized version of themselves, without the overwhelm that typically derails good intentions. Phase 1 is what I call the foundation period, and it lasts exactly 30 days. This isn't about perfection. It's about establishing one single habit that everything else will build upon. During these first 30 days, your only job is to consume your morning dose consistently every single day, preferably within the same 30-minute window each morning. That's it. You're not worrying about advanced protocols or optimization strategies yet. You're simply proving to yourself that you can show up consistently for one thing. Track it on a calendar, set phone reminders, prepare your doses the night before, whatever it takes to make this one habit automatic. Most people experience noticeable energy improvements within the first week, which provides the motivation to continue. By day 30, this should feel as natural as brushing your teeth. Phase 2 begins on day 31 and continues through day 60. This is the optimization period. Now that your morning routine is established, we start fine-tuning. This is when you begin experimenting with timing adjustments based on your personal response. Maybe you discover that taking a second smaller dose at 2 p.m. eliminates your afternoon energy crash. Perhaps you notice that taking it 30 minutes earlier or later changes how you feel throughout the day. During this phase, you're also going to start tracking 3 key metrics in a simple journal. Energy levels on a scale of 1 to 10 at 3 different times during the day, sleep quality each morning, and one subjective measure that matters to you, whether that's mood, focus, or physical performance. This data becomes invaluable for personalizing your approach. Phase 3 is the integration period, days 61 through 90. By now, the habits are established and optimized. This final phase is about making the entire system so seamlessly integrated into your life that it requires zero willpower or conscious effort. You're also introducing what I call strategic cycling, occasionally taking a day or two off to maintain sensitivity and prevent adaptation. The most common challenges during these 90 days. Week 2, energy dips, which are normal as your body adjusts. Weekend routine disruptions solved by preparation. And the temptation to overcomplicate things, which you resist by sticking to the phase you're in. You've spent the last hour with me, and I want you to understand something profound. Every single second you invested here has already begun changing your cellular future. The information isn't just sitting in your memory, it's reshaping how you'll make decisions tomorrow morning, next week, and for decades to come. The science we've explored isn't theoretical anymore. It's practical, actionable, and waiting for you to claim it. Think about where you were 60 minutes ago. You clicked on this video probably curious, maybe skeptical, perhaps desperate for answers. Now, you understand the mitochondrial revolution. You know why your cells age and exactly what accelerates or reverses that process. You've discovered that the fatigue, brain fog, and declining vitality you've accepted as normal are actually reversible at the cellular level. More importantly, you now possess a complete system to transform your biological age, not through wishful thinking, but through evidence-based interventions that work with your body's natural regeneration capacity. The morning mitochondrial protocol gives you immediate action steps. The strategic supplementation framework removes the guesswork from what actually works. The circadian optimization strategy aligns your biology with nature's design. The exercise prescription targets the specific adaptations that matter most. The quality guidelines ensure you're not wasting money on inferior products. And the 90-day transformation system provides the roadmap from where you are now to where you want to be. Everything you need is now in your hands. But here's what separates those who transform their lives from those who simply consume information, action within the next 24 hours. Research shows that if you don't implement at least one strategy within one day of learning it, the likelihood of ever taking action drops by 73%. Your brain will rationalize delay. It'll convince you to start Monday, next month, or when circumstances are perfect. Don't let that happen. Choose one protocol, just one, and implement it tomorrow morning. That single decision creates momentum that carries you through the entire system. Your cells are listening right now. They're waiting for the signal that change is coming. The mitochondria that power every thought, every heartbeat, every moment of your existence are ready to respond to better fuel, optimized timing, and strategic support. They've been waiting years, maybe decades, for you to discover what you now know. The question isn't whether your body can change. The science proves it absolutely can. The only question is whether you'll give it the chance. I've prepared something special for those ready to go deeper. Click the video appearing on your screen right now to discover the advanced protocols that take cellular optimization to the next level. And if this information has changed your perspective, hit that subscribe button, because what's coming next will show you capabilities you didn't know your body possessed. Your cellular revolution starts now. The future you've been searching for is already within you.